I'm just waiting on notification, sir. Thank you
Okay.
again. Thank you very much again, sir.
Glad to be here.
Okay, perfect. Boom. And we are live. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to a very special edition of Off the Record on the People's Podcast this afternoon. We have an incredible guest with us this afternoon, one who's going to give us some powerful information as well as inspiration, and that is none other than Captain Sultan Muhammad, who served under the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, as well as the Most Honorable Miss Louis Farrakhan. Um, this just is an amazing opportunity to get us all this history, sir. First of all, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Glad to meet you, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The honor is mine, sir. Well, the first question we want to know is, what was it? When did you first hear the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad?
I first heard the teaching of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad back in '67. I was working at a GM plant that I had went to work at in Fremont, California. And there was a brother by the name of Thomas X working there. And the brother was always teaching the messengers program around the plant, and 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 he stood up in front of people. And usually when we talk about, we talk about the white man, we would always, kind of cower down. But this brother was standing, he was a short brother, and he stood tall. And by the way that he talked, it seemed like he was a lot taller than he was, but he was about, I guess he was about 5'6". But man, did he talk. that
Yes, sir.
brother got ready in their face, brother, and he taught the message program. And I mean, it surprised me being up from Arkansas, because down in Arkansas, you know, I think I was out here about a year when I met, and being from Arkansas, we just when we scratched where we didn't itch, and we grinned where it wasn't funny. So to see this man talking what he was talking, and being and being the plant was mostly white, and we was of the minority, the black people. And when I saw that, it just inspired me to learn more about who this was, what was he, and 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 what was he all about. But what really surprised me was that we didn't, the white man didn't say nothing. That's what really surprised me. Because I was looking for them, grab him up by the seat of his pants and throw him out. But
Yes,
they never said a word. They just looked, and actually they act like they was afraid.
mm.
So I'm like, well, okay, let me find out more about this, what this brother's talking about. Right. So that pulled me. So from that point on, I was his student.
Mm.
I was his number one fan. Because I wanted to hear more about this, and with him being my size and was talking the way he was talking, they always make us little short brothers get in the corner. But this brother here, he wasn't getting in no corner, what I could see was that his biggest opposition wasn't white people. His biggest opposition was black. So uh, he talked about he picked me up, we started riding together, and he would teach from the time I got in there, pick me up from the to the time we got to the plant, teach at lunch, and he would teach on the way home. So so finally, I said I wanted to go. I said, well, Brown, where you learn all this at? Where you get this from? Right. So then he started. He was keeping the mouse to the background because he wasn't going.
Mm.
And so I was like, well, brother, uh, can we go and find out more? And so he said, well, yeah, okay, well, we can go Sunday. And then he would call me and cancel. So finally, with all these cancellations, he finally took me to the mosque. And when we got over there, that's when I found out that he wasn't really attending.
Mm.
Once I went and I heard a minister by the name of Henry McGee. He was the minister in San Francisco. And the first time I heard him, the brother had already convinced me. I was ready to go in
Yes, sir.
before I even went to the mosque because of this brother. But from that day till uh, the messenger had went away, and I think it was around 1974. I stuck with the nation, and and uh, when the nation had failed in '74, well, Wallace, we know all about what had happened in '74. We went to it was '75. Uh, that's when we went to Al Islam. Well, when they got to talking about when I heard Wallace get up there and talk about his father, I that was my last day.
Mm.
I didn't go back no more. So I hated to leave, but what he was talking wasn't what I had accepted. Right. So as bad as I hate to have done it, I left the mosque and went out, and we had already uh, discussed and talked about that Minister Farrakhan was supposed to lead the nation. I didn't know where Wallace came from
Mm.
because I was looking for Minister Farrakhan to stand up. But when he didn't and told us uh, in in spirit that we was, that we was to go ahead and follow the sun, and we wasn't gonna make no trouble. I I didn't argue with him or anything. I just fell back, and uh, it was I think it was in 1977 that the minister stood up. Right. And when the minister stood up, this brother named uh, uh, Minister Billy X, he came and got me. But I'm kind of ahead of myself. Uh, that's where we begin with the new dispensation. But in the in as a pioneer, uh, what happened is that the brother brother Minister Billy, in the first resurrection, as we say, he uh, had a dispute with his brother, and brother left and went and set up the Yo Black Muslim Bank. His brother's name was Yusuf Bey.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And he left the mosque and went to set up the Yo Black Muslim Bank. But and he had made this brother named Maurice the captain after Yusuf Bey left.
Mm.
And the brother had some problems. So as we were uh, 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 going to the mosque, he had, in the meanwhile, I was coming up through the ranks. First I made squad leader, then lieutenant, then uh, I made under the brother named Maurice. Minister Billy had let him go. And so he said, well, brother James, that's what they call me. We're gonna make you the captain. I said, no, sir, brother. I'll go ahead and help this brother, and you just keep his name, cause I always had a problem uh, talking,
Yes, sir.
and
Yes.
so I didn't want to be nobody. I didn't want to be no captain or nothing. And so brother Billy wasn't he wasn't the kind of brother that you are with. So he went on and made me captain. So that's how I made the position of captain, because I was, every time the brother asked brother Maurice, every time the minister asked brother Maurice a question as to, well, how many papers we pushing, brother Maurice? He said, well, let me ask brother first lieutenant. He said, well, uh, he said, well, brother, how many guests we got this this Sunday? He said, well, let me ask brother First Lieutenant James. So it went on, and after he asked him so many questions, this was over a period of time. He said, well, you know what? I think I'll just let you go when he was gone, and I'll make brother First Lieutenant James my captain, because you gotta go to him for every answer. So I might as well go ahead and cut you out and go on and let him be the captain. So that's how I made. That's how I made. That's how that was my journey up through the ranks. But in the meanwhile, we the messenger wanted to get into imports.
Mm.
So uh, the first import he went into is the white NH&G. And so he had us to look for uh, a building out here that we could doubly use as a mosque and a warehouse and everything. And he said that if we could find a building that, because he wanted to start bringing he wanted to start bringing the imports into the country and give the brothers jobs. And so what the messenger did, we found 780 Pine Street, and we went to negotiate with the building, and the messenger sent the nation's lawyer out here, and they bought the building over on 8th and Pine. And from that, where we had already uh, uh, set up seven stores, the mosque in Oakland. We had a bakery, we had a steak and take, we had a bakery in East Oakland, we had a bakery in West. I'm sorry, in Berkeley, and we had up to 7 businesses. running. And so the messenger saw all of that, and he sent the nation's lawyer out here with a check, and he bought our mosque, which was a warehouse, and started importing fish first. And so that was how the YNH&G got started. Brother Nadar had went to Japan, and he negotiated with the Japanese, and for so many pounds of that YNH&G, and we when the trailer trucks came up to the mosque, the fish was frozen, but we had a mosque without no freezer. So we had to take the fish and go to a storage, was a refrigerated storage unit, and rinse them space out so we could store the fish. So the next the, the messenger wasn't satisfied with just the fish, but from that order, we went and we bought enough fish to supply fish all over the country. And so
That's right.
every mosque went into the fish business. But the messenger wasn't satisfied with that point. We had started, the messenger had started importing clothes, jackets, pots and pans, all kind of home goods, and everything that our people needed in in America. He was getting started to start the imports, but he was showing us it was getting close to 1975, the time for the messenger to leave, and we didn't know that it was getting short. Time was getting short, but he had to hurry up and do these things because he was trying to show us which way to go.
That's right.
When he leaves.
Yes, sir.
Yes, and so he was sailing through these different things that he was doing with the imports. So this was around 1974. So he seemed like was closing down and closing his time with us out. So the people saw that what he was trying to do, and the messenger sent. Well, I don't know who it was back then, but somebody had emptied the warehouse out, got all the goods up out of there, and they all went to Chicago. And so the next thing I heard is that the messenger had passed away. And so the minister that was over the area, he got relieved, and then they sent another brother over the area, but to the area, his name was John B. And so we was working. I was working with him about a year, and this was during the time that the messenger had passed, and his son Wallace D was taking over, and he um, turned the turned the nation into was Al Islam. I never did go, so I don't know what it was, but anyway, um, that was that was the close of the first dispensation, and then um, it was 1977 that the minister stood back up. That's right. And uh, brother Billy, brother Minister Billy, and and I, we went to see the messenger teach, Minister Farrakhan teach in Los Angeles. So when we got down there, we were uh, lucky enough. Yeah, I can't say luck, but anyway, the minister had had a conference with us, and he said he asked us would we come back and help him to rebuild his father's program and start all over again. So we said, of course, that's why we came.
That's right.
We ready to go.
That's right.
So the minister had uh, came up here. We had got a little mosque out on 98th and E, and we had about six. How many brothers we had? We had about 13 or 14, and he taught, and from that teaching, we had went to 6118, and that was a big building. Had a room enough for 300. Yeah, had a room for 300 students, and we had the minister coming up from. He was based in L.A. at that time because Chicago they was kind of tough back there at that time, so he kind of made his base in LA. So every week he would come up here and teach at 6118. And that building has some history on it too. That building was the Black Panthers headquarters that they had with the breakfast programs and the other programs that they had that they were teaching in the area. But the Panthers uh, had some problems, so Huey Newton came up, and we was negotiating with him to buy the building. And so because at that time Huey was kind of out there, so we while we negotiated for the building, he let us stay in the building. He let us have the building. So Mr. Farrakhan used to teach. I think he would come up here and teach at least once a week. And we got that little building packed, brother.
That's right.
We had packed that building.
That's right.
And Brothers came from everywhere to get the nation going back here at Oakland. And something happened. We stayed in the building about a year, and during that time, Oakland had a school. Oakland had we had got a cleaners. This was in the late '70s, and we had several more businesses. This was in the uh, this this dispensation with Minister Farrakhan,
Yes, sir.
and so we got, and it was another thing that was uh, real significant about the building. Huey and them, with the Panthers, had they had put in this way with the FBI COINTEL, where they submitted and a paper to get all of the COINTEL tricks that the FBI played on the Muslims and the Panthers, and we got all those papers with the building when we were able to negotiate with Huey on
Praise
the
be to
building.
Allah.
We got a chance to find out how they played tricks on us, the kind of where they had sprayed the fish. The FBI sprayed the fish with a substance that would make the fish fall apart when people try to buy it. We didn't even know it. They was trying to get us uh, against the community so that so that we uh, that the people wouldn't buy the fish from us. And we didn't know what was going on. I don't even remember that. I don't even remember the fish. The people were so happy to get the fish, they didn't pay that no attention. They bought
Praise
it
be to
anyway.
Allah.
So that just go to show you, Allah has a plan, the devil has a plan, and Allah has the best of plans.
Allahu Akbar. Right, Captain.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. First of all, I want to thank you. So many people were commenting. Please continue to like, share, subscribe to People's Podcast. I want to thank you, Brother Captain. Thanks to Tracy. Thanks to Name. Thank everyone who continues to watch the People's Podcast. How did you? I want to make sure on behalf of myself, my family, and the viewing audience that we thank you for your sacrifice and the sacrifice of your family, for we are standing on the shoulders of the great work that you have put in and continue to put in. So we thank you, sir. Um, my my next question for you, sir, is how did your family and friends feel once you accepted, in the '60s? Like, how did they feel about you accepting the teachings?
Well, it's funny you asked me about that because when I went over San Francisco and accepted the teaching, uh, I had when I came back and told my uncle that I was a Muslim, he jumped on me. and we had, we had a fight, but I didn't want to hit my uncle. But I had to run from.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So other than that, I had converted. Allah blessed me to convert my family, my immediate family, and out of that conversion, I had my two daughters. The first one, the oldest one's name was Cheryl, and when I came, and the youngest one was Sonia. And at the time, so uh, I was I was going by the name of Gary, and my first child, Cheryl Gary, and Cheryl X, and Sonia, and their mother came by the name of Geneva. She had accepted the teaching and rose to the position of captain in the first regiment.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And the second time when I came back, I with Minister Farrakhan, I had um, I had some trouble in my first marriage, and uh, uh, I remarried and had and that when I accepted with Minister Farrakhan, out of that marriage, my Minister Farrakhan named me Sultan, and he named my wife Sultana, and I had how many y'all? 6 of y'all. I had 6 children out of this marriage, and that's I had Sultan's Senior, uh, Jamal. I had Ali, who introduced you to me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Ali Muhammad. And then I have Walida Muhammad, who was married to the brother Wesley,
Yes, sir.
our national huh? He's on the executive council.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's my son-in-law.
Praise be to Allah.
So after Walida is Rahim. After Rahim is Yamin. So Allah has really blessed me with a beautiful family.
Beautiful. Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir.
Sir.
Well, I wanted to ask, did you ever get to meet the Most Hon Elijah Muhammad?
Yes, sir. How could I forget that, bro?
Yes, sir.
That was the apex of my life to meet the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And what happened on that is that when in the first when you made a position such as captain and minister, the messenger would send for you to come, and he would he would talk with you and approve of you or disapprove of you. So I had went to the Greenwood Avenue.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Woodlawn. So the messenger's home.
Yes, sir.
In Chicago. Okay. And so I had went there to meet him a couple of times. Messenger. And sometimes we would go and the messenger wasn't feeling good and we wouldn't meet him. But I went there quite a few times, but to see him, sometime it was available and sometime not. But he wanted us to come every month at that time. When we was dealing with the fish and when we was dealing with the products, because he wanted to talk to us and tell us how he wanted us to handle different situations. But yes, sir, I met with him.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. And when you met with them,
Yes, sir.
yes, sir. When you met with him, What was he? Did he wear uniform? Did he wear suits? What was he? What did he dress like?
When I met him, he always it was at the house, and he always had on a suit. You talking about dap? You talking about clean? That's the cleanest man off the planet.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
so yes, sir. I met him several times.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. And earlier you spoke about Wharf Dean, like once Most Hon Elijah Muhammad left, and he was saying things like, what was it specifically? Was it that made you think that he was saying something, that he was taking the nation a different way? Like, what was it that he said?
It was just my observation. Uh, uh, I, I what happened with me is that I almost lost my mind when the messenger left because I was looking for him to die. He never said he was gonna die. He said he was leaving. So when we saw him in the casket, saw the funeral, we saw, hey, I was just messed up
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
because here he was supposed to been leaving. I was looking for him to, be standing out there on the ship waving, hey, I'm going. Man, he was so spooked up. I didn't know how
Yes,
he
sir.
was gonna leave. But yes, sir, he left for each individual. We had to come, just uh, do the best we can with that because wasn't no telling nobody nothing. Otherwise, we couldn't go through our exam
That's right.
if we'd had any hints about what was going to go down. So, in order for us to have a good examination to see
Yes,
if we
sir.
were hypocrites or whatever, it had to go down like it did, and I can understand it now. But then I couldn't. I didn't understand it. You know, that's why Wallace could tell us, some of us, almost anything, and we would go for it because we was so well. I was so shocked that he had passed, and to see him in a casket, whew, that was just it was just too much for most of us. I've seen people, brothers and sisters, walking the street, foaming at the mouth, looking up at the sky and barking. Whole good brothers that just couldn't take.
Yes, sir.
I'm far believing like that. They just couldn't take it, and
Yes,
it
sir.
was almost too much for me, because hey, I'm not going. When you fall down, and it doesn't, and whatever down there, that's what you fall in.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
there's some mess down there, or some chicken manure, all over.
Yes, sir.
That's what you fall in,
Yes,
or
sir.
some person manure, whatever's down there. And that's what happened to most of us, brother. And I'm so grateful to the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. That's right. For coming back and straightening us out, because I'd have been so crazy today if it hadn't been for him coming and explaining this thing to us, right, as to what went down. That's right. Because we could not figure it out. No, sir. All praise be to Allah. Praise be to Allah.
Yes, sir. What's up, brother Captain? We have a lot more questions, and thank everyone who's continuing to watch. I have a quick 60-second commercial break, brother Captain, just for the sponsors of the People's Podcast this month, and we're coming right back to you, sir. I want to thank everyone who continues to donate and send sponsorships to the People's Podcast. Thank you very much. Every donation matters. It We appreciate, we're very grateful for everyone. If you'd like to be a sponsor or donor, please cash at the People's Podcast. Thank you all very much. I want to start with my brother Rashad, Street Premiere Media Production. He has a 4K camera and a drone. He does television and film editing. If you all need some work done, please reach out to him. My sister Miriam, ABC I Love Me children's book and coloring book, both of which are available on Amazon. Make sure you all go get those. My sister Naima, Stay on Point Dance Academy, LLC. She teaches ballet virtually to young girls all across the country. We love our tiny dancers. She also teaches locally in the studio in Atlanta. Out of Los Angeles, the MTS Car Bros, any make, any model, any year, 30 to 50% off. They'll ship vehicles to you all. Reach out to them. Raw Communications, Sister Rashida, if you want to write a book, she does copy editing, project management, content development, and media relations and consulting. Please reach out to her. Her phone number is 872-215-5155. If you are looking to write a book, please reach out to Raw Communications. The Elevated Places, where I am what God says I am, out of Houston, Texas. They make scientists, engineers, all kind of speak different languages. This is a phenomenal school out of Houston, Texas. Our brother Enoch out of Chicago, Hip Hop Detox. It empowers youth and young adults towards a healthy lifestyle choices and productive life. Using a holistic approach. We're coming right back to you, Brother Captain. Asiatic Minds Online. If you want to send your children to school, if you don't want to send them, without a mask during the pandemic, you can go to asiacminds.com, and they're teaching virtually all across the country. Thank you very much to asiacminds.com. Sister Shireen Muhammad right here in Atlanta, Georgia. agrichild.com, an online bookstore for books. She has Why She Wears Her Hair Covered, A Seed of Greatness, and many more. If you would like to be a part of that, please reach out to agrichild.com. Thank you very much, Sister Shireen. Dr. Henry M. Carter, King Henry's Turkey Legs, right here in Atlanta, Georgia. Also, Brother Rashad Muhammad of Chicago, COVID-19 Disinfecting Cleaning Services. My father's book, A Soldier in the Movement of Christ, abdulsharif.com. And last but not least, my two books, Cleopatra, which is a children's book, and No Father, No Excuse, both of which are available on Amazon. Thank you all very much for every sponsor, every donation, and every viewer, liker, share, and subscriber. Thank you all very much. Brother Captain, right back to you. What was it about the Most Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan that made you want to, come back and help him?
Well, there was whispers, and when we met in Chicago and at Service Days and other events, it was well known that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan was supposed to take over the nation. There was no question in my mind ever as to who he was and that he was the heir apparent in the nation. The thing that blew my mind is where they get Wallace from. I mean, the soldiers around in the nation, we always knew that, it was Wallace was, and so we never could see anybody putting that kind of responsibility on him because the messenger would bring him in and he would have to shoot him out. He'd bring him in and he had to shoot him out. So, I mean, we could see that, and the messenger never told us that that Wallace was supposed to. He said that Wallace was supposed to help him to help him with the nation, to give a trial, but he never said that Wallace was anything about take over the leadership. That was just mind-boggling at the least. for, for the ones who had been in the nation for a while. So that was easy.
Okay, yes, sir.
Yes,
Well,
sir.
well, being in Oakland all of those years, especially prior to 75,
Yes, sir.
during that time period, then the 80s leading up to now, has there ever been a time that you were faced with fear? And if so, how did you overcome that fear?
Uh, there was a lot of time. There was a lot of time. But we used to have this little saying that when we was drilling, that was one thing that brought me over my rough spots of fear. And I would say, all praises due to Allah, and I'm
Yes, sir.
Black Muhammad.
Yes, sir.
And I would just say it over and over and over and over again. And pretty soon my little nerve would be built up. So that's some little secret thing that I would work for me. And
Praise be to God.
praying. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Well, what has been your greatest trial in your tenure in the nation, and how have you overcome that?
I think my greatest trial was uh, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. They say dying. That was the greatest challenge because we never discussed anything like that.
Yes, sir.
Nor was it in the Bible, nor was there any lessons or uh, or or material that say that he would pass or would die. That was about the biggest one.
Yes, sir.
And I guess the next one would be to see brothers and sisters that that I depended on fail so hard and went so deep in the mud when they did fall.
Yes, sir.
So, yes, sir, that's about it.
Yes, sir. Well, I think a lot that you were able to make it through. I couldn't imagine being faced with something like that, sir. I couldn't imagine that. What has been your greatest joy in your tenure in the nation?
The most honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan stand up on his job and say, "Come on, let's go."
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir. What advice would you give to future fathers?
Well, the great advice I would give is to is for what you want your children to be, you stand up and be.
That's right.
Mm, mm, mm,
Follow you, not do what you say, but do what you do.
Right.
mm. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. What advice would you give to future husbands?
Future husband,
Yes, sir.
you know, you're gonna have to take a lot to be a husband. And that's not your brother. That's your sister.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And if you want brotherhood, go find your brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, wonderful. How has having being a grandfather, how has that impacted you?
Being a grandfather
Yes, sir.
was the was the was the most wonderful period in my life because I can enjoy them. I can be with them. I can do whatever and then go home.
Yes, sir. Beautiful.
Yes, sir.
What type of music do you like to listen to, sir?
Uh, the type of music I like to listen to the I guess it would be called rhythm and blues.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And don't forget, number one is the song of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I love that music.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Beautiful. And what do you do for fun, sir?
Sir,
What do you do for fun?
oh, well, go to the bank and find some money.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
No, all kidding aside, uh, I love and my most fun is being with the grandbabies.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
That's right now. That's the joy of my life, and I got them too, brother. I got them. I got 'em. I don't even know how many I got, but I can go get one a day and not get the same one in 2 weeks. You
Yes,
know?
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Beautiful. Will you ever write a book about your personal life?
You know, uh, I've been uh, asked by several brothers to let them help me write a book. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and this is one reason why I agreed to come on the show. Is so I could uh, see the reality of doing it. And I think, yes, sir, to answer your question.
Crazy. So, yes, sir. Well, I have two more questions for you, Brother Captain. My next question is: if you could meet God face to face, what would you ask him?
If I could meet God face to face, what would I ask him? I would ask him to help my people.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Beautiful. Beautiful.
He gave me a good life, and it's nothing that I couldn't ask him. That would be what I would if I could ask him. That's what I would ask him to help the poor people, black people of America, to help
Yes, sir.
his servant do this job
Yes, sir.
that
What do you
he's trying to do.
praise be to Allah? What do you think that he would ask you?
Oh, brother. Oh, he probably would have asked me where I've been. Oh, yes, sir.
Yes, sir. What would you like your legacy to be, sir?
That uh, that I was a Muslim.
That's it. Yes, sir.
That I was a Muslim. Yes,
Praise
sir.
be to Allah. Beautiful. What a legacy that is. Yes, sir. Well, I want to thank you, Brother Captain, once again for your sacrifice, the sacrifice of your family, and thank you for coming on the People's Podcast. This means so much to us. I can't wait to put it on YouTube. Um, I thank you, Brother Ali, for being the plug and the connection, and I just thank you all. I look forward to inshallah that I get to meet you in person, Brother Captain, so that we could have a one-on-one conversation in person. That would mean a lot to me if that's possible.
Well, I hope Allah bless you to do that, brother, because that means I got another day.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. I want to thank everyone for watching the People's Podcast, and I want to thank you, Brother Captain, again, and Brother Ali. This is Brother Joshua Leonard Muhammad signing off for the People's Podcast. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Wa alaikum salam.